Hello and welcome. In this video I'm sharing my sewing process of the vintage 1940s blouse from the previous video. For this project I'm using this lovely hot pink plumetti fabric. I think it goes lovely for this blouse. Once I have all the patterns cut, I start by tracing them on the fabric and cut all the pieces. I also mark the center notches where needed. Now I'm ready to start assembling the blouse. First, I take the back piece and I'm going to run 2 or 3 rows of long stitches so I can make the gathers. I gather the back and sandwich the back between the yokes. Match the back center notch with the yoke center notch. Then distribute the gathers evenly and sew. For the front part, apparently it's not going to be easy. I start by marking all the seam allowances 1 cm on the bib, facing and main front. Here I'm figuring out how to attach the bib. Let me tell you, it was a nightmare for me. I place the notch which indicates the placket on the center of the front, and then I pin following the round part of the bib. As far as the yoke part is concerned, I'm not sure how to sew inverted corners, so I'm looking it up on the internet, and here I found an article which seems quite alright. So I'm sewing the round part of the bib first, after basting. This part is a little fidgety and I probably had to redo it a couple of times. Then I clip the square corner, but I don't cut through the stitches. Now I can turn to match the yoke, gather and sew. This part is quite tricky though. Surely this is not a beginner-friendly project. These are the 2 parts of the bib finished. Now I'm matching the shoulders and sewing. The front yoke needs to be in the middle of the back yokes. I sew each part separately. First one shoulder and then I match the other and sew. Slowly it's starting to look like a blouse. For the collar, I first cut some fusible interfacing and iron it to one of the collars. Trim any excess and face right sides together, pin and sew. I clip the round seams so that the collar won't be too bulky. Turn over and iron. Match the center notch of the collar to the center notch of the back yoke and then place the collar in place. I'm basting instead of sewing directly on the machine. Now that the collar is in place, I noticed that the bib should have been way bigger and the front yoke should have also been larger. However, I'll carry on with the blouse. It still looks nice, only that the bib ended up being too small. I ended up cutting a facing for the back, otherwise I wouldn't be able to cover the raw edge of the collar, and placing the front and back facings right sides together on the shoulder parts, sew and cover the raw edge with bias tape. Having prepared the facing, I'm attaching it to the blouse. I did add a strip of interfacing on each side where the buttonhole should be. Match the center seams and follow the shape of the bib. pin and sew. I clip the corners, turn over, and with my clover tool I'm pushing the seams outwards. Also clip the seams so that the collar will have a crisp round shape. Now turn the facing inwards and iron. To hold the facing in place, I'm sewing it by hand. I also covered with bias tape the raw edge of the bib. Next, I'm sewing the sides using French seams. First, sew the facing wrong sides together at ½ centimeter, turn over, press the seam and sew at 1 centimeter. For the roll-up sleeve, first mark the parts 1, 2 and 3 as we did on the pattern. To mark these, I'm ironing each part. I run a couple of long stitches to make the shape of the cap. Next, I'm trimming this 1 centimeter seam allowance I left just in case, since I won't be needing it anymore. Then fold the sleeve in half and sew following the shape of the sleeve. Now turn over and part 1 I'm folding it upwards, part 2 down and 3 underneath. Sew along this seam to hold the rolled up part in place. Now I'm gathering the cap slightly to make the shape of the sleeve. With the sleeves facing the right side and the blouse on the wrong side, I'm inserting the sleeve. I match the center notch and the 6 centimeter notch on the front side. Pin and sew. But before sewing by machine, I'm basting first. For the hem, I'm covering the raw edge with bias tape at ½ centimeter, then press, fold and sew by hand. I'm choosing some pink plastic buttons. The blouse in the image has 8 buttons, very near one another. I'm sewing only 6, since for the size of my bib is enough. I made a buttonhole sample first. And then I'm marking them on the blouse, 1 centimeter apart. I'm opening the buttonholes with this clover tool, which is so useful. And there the opening can be seen. Now I'm sewing on the buttons and the blouse is finished. This project was a little challenging, especially the front, but I believe it's good to make new things out of the comfort zone from time to time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.